Hello and welcome to Brand New Me Journey series. I am your host, Chaute Thompson, and I have Natolie Warren here with me today. I am a licensed mental health counselor, a Florida Supreme Court certified family mediator, and a transformation and reset coach, helping women after they've gone through significant breakups to rediscover, redefine themselves, go through the whole self-discovery piece to be able to live their best lives. Today, I'm super excited to have Natolie here with us today because we kind of are on the same path with empowering women to be able to be their best selves. So I'm super excited. Today, we are talking about a woman's worth. And I'm going to just tell you a little bit about Natolie first. We'll be able to jump right in. Natolie is a speaker, a coach, a minister, a psychotherapist, and an author who specializes in topics of women's empowerment, leadership, and faith. She supports women gain the clarity, confidence, and courage they desire to accomplish their goals and live more fulfilling lives. Natolie focuses on self-development and inner healing work to assist women connect with themselves. She has had her own journey of finding herself and her worth after a long history of feeling inadequate. She has done the work and desires for women to experience the same freedom. Natolie is a wife, a mother of 3 children who resides in Atlanta, Georgia. Welcome, welcome, welcome.
Thank you, Chaute. I'm glad to be here and obviously talk about something that's near and dear to both of us.
Yes. So Brand New Me Journey series is really just about helping individuals along their journey. And it's important for us to remember that we all have a journey that we are on. Some individuals at the beginning, some are at the middle, and some are just in that lifelong process. So the purpose of this series is really to bring in the experts, talk about it, have the candid conversations that are going to positively impact lives. So that's what we're going to focus on today when we are discussing a woman's worth.
Wow.
Okay, so to start, when it comes to worth, self-worth, what is the difference between self-esteem and self-worth?
Great question. I think sometimes we've used the words in the past interchangeably. I like to think of them as very different. And from my own experiences and the experiences of the women that I've been able to walk with, there is a difference.
Mm-hmm.
So to answer the question, self-esteem is really your evaluation of how you see yourself.
Okay.
And so your self-esteem is, in that way, it can be very transient, right? So if I am feeling good about the outfit that I have on, then I might think that I'm beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
Or if I'm feeling good because my job is going well, then I'm feeling talented, or I'm feeling intelligent or on top of my game, right? And then the opposite would be if life has hit me hard, then I'm feeling like I am a failure, or I'm feeling like I can't handle things. And so our self-esteem is very much our evaluation of ourselves, and it can be very transient. It can change due to circumstances or situations. But what I love to talk about with self-worth is it is your intrinsic worth. It is the thing within you. I like to call it, it's the core of who you are. And at the core of who we are all good. We're all perfect. We are enough. We're valuable. We're loving. All of that is the part of who you are at the core. What I love about self-worth is it never changes.
Never.
Unlike self-esteem, right? So if in self-esteem things are going well, I feel good. I look good. I think positive about myself. Well, your self-worth is who you are at your core. And no matter what, it doesn't change. And so being able to see that in my own journey. So for my own experiences, I had low self-esteem, so I thought, due to being teased. I was teased very much in elementary school. And after going through that journey, I started to believe the messages they said about myself. And I did not know that it wasn't a self-esteem issue. It was a self-worth. No one taught me what I'm talking about right now. That is the core of who Natalie was. She was good. She was enough. She was loving. She was worthy. I didn't get that message. And so once I discovered that, I realized that there is a big difference between the two.
You went through some things in your life that when individuals teased you, you started to believe what they were saying to a part where you weren't really understanding your worth. So what happened that made you realize your worth was different than your self-esteem?
Great question. I went on my own journey of self-discovery and self-awareness. So in my teen years, I started to explore a lot of self-help and self-development individuals.
Okay.
And started to go down my own path and realizing about my own worth and allowing God to teach me about my own worth and who I was at the core.
How did you start to figure out that this is something that you needed from your teenagers? I think that's outstanding, because for myself, I didn't start that journey until after my divorce. So what took place that was your aha moment that made you realize that, okay, I need to really discover who I am?
Well, the thing is, I didn't even know that was the journey I was on. I started that journey and I was drawn to people who did self-help work and healing work. I didn't even know that was the path that I was taking. So it didn't come into my knowing probably until my mid-20s that I realized that this is what I actually was doing without me even knowing that that's the path that I had chosen.
Awesome sauce. All righty, nice. How can someone know their self-worth? What can they do to actually figure out what their self-worth is, or take note of what their self-worth is?
Great question, because again, I said to you, I didn't even know that this was something that I was missing or not aware of. And so I would offer a few things. One of the things that I would start with is to know that you as an individual have self-worth.
Okay.
And it is a part of the core of who you are. And in that, knowing some principles, what I call principles, knowing that you are 100% worthy, unconditionally, no matter what. One of the challenges with our self-worth is we feel we earn it, right? Or that it's connected to an external source. So if I have power, then I'm worthy. If I have status, then I'm worthy. If I have the designer clothes, then I'm worthy. All of the externals that we put on self-worth. And so in knowing it is about knowing that it's not something external.
Right.
And it is something within. And so those are some of the few principles that I really bring people back to the fundamentals. To know your self-worth is to know that you are worthy and that it is unconditional, 100%, no matter what. You cannot disqualify yourself from self-worth. I think sometimes that is a belief. I feel like I messed up. I feel like I can't get anything right. That this can't be me, right? That's the other person.
Right.
But the truth is that it is you. Every woman that's listening to this, you are worthy. At the core of who you are.
The core. So, okay, so that's powerful stuff right there, because we all need to realize that we are worthy. But when all of the external things take place, all of the different hats that we wear, all of the times when things might not go, and just might go awry, right? How can one get to the core? I know that you mentioned some self-discovery, some self-help, but what are some examples? What are some hands-on things that people can actually start doing now to start the process of knowing or acknowledging or even understanding what their stuff, or even rebuilding their self-worth?
Gotcha. You're right, because there are different facets of it, as you talked about on the journey. Some people were all on different places in this journey. And so for me, it really was about, like I said, reading. There are tons of content out there. And so the first step is knowledge, right? In order to change a behavior, to change a mindset, first we have to have knowledge. And so there are many, many resources, and those would be the first places that I would start about. Just bringing it into your awareness. But awareness isn't just enough, right? Because we know that we can know something, but that doesn't mean we do something. And transformation, as we both work in that area, really comes from action, taking action. And one of the things that I think helps to take the action is knowing what works against you, knowing your self-worth.
Okay.
And I think that's so important, because one of the things that works, I think, against you knowing your self-worth and really standing in the power of that is what we call the inner critic. Understanding who and what that is. And we can talk about that more because I think that's the one thing that will tear up
Yes.
what you would know about yourself, your inner critic, the inner voice in your head.
Those doubts that constantly come up.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Okay, because that's going to be something that's really going to, it can hold you back if
It
you
will.
constantly listen to it, but it's about fighting through, and it's about recognizing that, okay, let's talk about some evidence of what has taken place to know that this inner critic, all of the doubt that's taking place, really has no value, or it's not true. So let me push past it.
You're right. You're right. And I think the challenge for me and for many people that I even work with is that we don't even know that that voice in our head isn't us. Like, that is the hard part. It has been with us for so long. Sometimes it can be very convincing and very harsh and sometimes very subtle that we have taken on that that is us.
Right.
And so the challenge is, before we can silence it and put it in its place, we've got to figure out what it is.
Right.
And I love, love, love teaching that, because once you know that, you can stand in the power of your worth and not allow it to sabotage your life, which is exactly what it will do.
Yeah, so true, so true. Okay, so it's about taking the time to understand that there is no value in it. So what are some of the beginning exercises that you might do with individuals for them to recognize this inner critic?
Great question. One of the things is two. One of them is, I ask them a question. I would ask you a question. Where are you hard on yourself? It's usually, that is the place where the inner critic is showing up the most, right? So where are you hard on yourself? So you might say, I'm hard on myself with taking time out for myself. And then we would discover, okay, what are the lies that you tell yourself about that? It's selfish. I don't have time. Other people's needs are more important.
Right.
And then we would discover that that is the inner critic, like telling you all of that, which actually has a name. And discovering the name. And what I love to do once we do the name of it, then I separate you from it. And that's where your power lies. You knowing, wait a minute, that's just the good girl. That's actually her name. The good girl is telling me that everybody else's needs are more important.
Right.
I don't have time for myself. That being, on myself, focusing on myself is selfish. So she won't allow you to do anything.
I love that. That is so powerful. Wow. Nice. So that in itself is transformation work.
Absolutely.
Because when someone is able to recognize that inner critic and to take some time to separate themselves from it, then they can start to say, all right, well, I am worthy. Then they're actually going to start to know their worth and to apply that, and then to start to practice that more and more. So
absolutely,
that's some amazing work right there. I love that. Good stuff. Okay.
Absolutely.
Is there anything else that really falls into self-worth that you really want to chime in with for individuals that you feel is going to be really helpful, or even with transformation work, with everything that we do?
I think besides, let's talk about the self-sabotage. When we know our worth, I think we may have said a little bit about it earlier, is it helps us to have better relationships, right? Because sometimes when we don't know our worth, we settle for less. Right. Settle for less, right? We find ourselves in relationships that may be unhealthy. And so the benefit I found when we know our worth is, not only do we do less of the self-sabotaging behaviors from the inner critic, but we also have healthier relationships, and we feel more emotionally stable, which I think is very important, to feel good. Maybe won't feel happy all the time, right? But you have this sense of balance, this positive outlook on life. It makes it more important when we really know our worth and stand in it. And so those are more the things that I would have, add to what we're talking about.
Right, and I truly believe that, because that's something that I focus on when I'm working with women, when they've gone through significant breakups and they lose themselves, right? To where now we're starting over to build them as individuals, build them with their deal breakers and what to expect, their expectations. And then when they're able to put these things in place and take the steps to really get to know themselves, then they're able to have these standards and these boundaries that they're going to stick to. So they know their authentic selves. They have discovered who they are. They understand their self-worth. So when they get into health, so So when they get into relationships, they're able to be in healthier relationships and not stand just for anything or be in anything because they want to be in a relationship. There's a difference.
There's a big difference. Yes. And the key, I think you said, was when they know themselves and discovering themselves or rediscovering themselves.
Mm-hmm.
And I think one of the things that we don't do probably enough is get quiet and still and be with ourselves.
Yeah.
Right? It's sometimes hard. I remember that.
I'm finding many are scared to be in the quiet. I love being in the quiet, but we must spend time in the quiet.
I love it. I love it. But I used to not, right? Let me tell you why. I used to not because of the noise in my head. The noise in my head was so loud. It was so harsh. It was so negative, right? Because it was telling me all the things that I wasn't, or at least I thought I wasn't.
Right.
I didn't want to hear that. So I would drown it out with what? Noise, external noise, busyness, avoidance, just the stuff that didn't allow me to discover who I was.
Yes.
But the stillness is the place where you discover who you are.
Yes, so true, so true. Thank you. Yes. And then once we're able to do that, then we are better able to really set the stage for what we want for ourselves. I love to remind the individuals that we should complete ourselves. And when we complete ourselves, then we are complemented in a relationship and not completed in a relationship. So it's important for us to take those steps to fill those voids in our own life, to complete ourselves, to be happy within ourselves. And when we do that and we get into a relationship, we can be complemented and not completed.
That's right. No, I love that because that's the idea of your core. At the core, you're whole. You're whole. So you are complete in entirety, not missing one thing. Not missing one thing.
Yeah, so true. And that all goes with women's worth. Right? Yes. Because when you realize what your worth is, you're better able to have these healthy relationships. And healthy relationship doesn't have to be the romantic relationship. It could be a relationship with friends, relationship with family, the way that you interact with other individuals. You're able to be more content and more confident within yourself to be able to interact with others.
Yes. It's a domino effect. Yeah.
It is. It plays a role everywhere. All right, nice. What would you say along your journey? What have you learned and stood out the most as you've been moving along?
I would say a few things. The first one that popped into my head when you said that was that I have everything that I need already within. So when I talked about worth and we talked about wholeness and complete, and everything I need is already within. Yeah. And so when we talked about being quiet and still was one of the reasons why I do that, to get really quiet and still so I can hear what I need that's already within. And so that's been one of the major things. Affirmations have been really, really powerful on my journey. I didn't even know, Chaute, that I was actually doing affirmations when I first started them.
Okay.
But they helped me to understand who I was and to speak the truth of who I am. And so I learned that not just that I am beautiful, but I am beauty. And that was one of the struggles from my own experience, that I didn't think I was beautiful because they were teasing me about all these things. Surely I couldn't be beautiful.
Right.
But the affirmations helped me to learn the truth of who I really was. And not just that I am beautiful, but I am beauty. Yeah. I own that is who I am.
Yeah.
And so that's another thing that I think I would share that I've learned in my experience.
Nice. I love it. What I like to do with clients and individuals that come in that have a difficult time with knowing their worth or acknowledging their worth, I love for them to go to loved ones and ask these loved ones, who am I? When you see me, who am I? So then they're able to say, you are funny, or you are beautiful, or you are like some inner, you are helpful, you are creative. So now they go home and they write these on a sticky note. I am beautiful, or I am a go-getter, I am life-changing, like all of these things. So then now when they look at it, it might be hard at first to accept it, but as they continue to say these I statements, it helps them overall to start to believe it, and we work through it to help them to understand why it might be hard for them to accept it. What have you been telling yourself all these times that makes it difficult? What's happened in your past that makes it hard to believe? And what's the evidence that this is actually you? So as we do that, it helps them to embrace these affirmations, take them on as their own, and now start to live with it.
That's right. Oh, that's right. And you're absolutely right. And mirror work is really helpful with that too, to get in that mirror. I remember that work, getting in that mirror and saying it and looking into my eyes and saying it until I believed it. And that's a journey.
It
For
is.
those who are listening to this, that is not an easy process,
Not at
because
all.
the inner critic shows up to tell you all the stuff that you're trying to say is not true. But stick with the process. I encourage you, stay with it. I know the power of it, and I encourage you to do the same. Yeah.
Same here. Same here. It's the things that I've gone through myself, and I know that it works when you take the steps and action, implementing, right? And knowing that it's a journey. It's not something that happens overnight, right?
That's right.
And step by
That's
step,
right.
we take those steps to transform and to be our best selves. So really good stuff. Now you have a book. Your book, Perfect, Complete, and Lacking Nothing, What Every Woman Needs to Know About Herself. Can you tell us a little bit about your book and how we can have more peace and greater security with the woman that we are from your book?
Sure. Thank you for asking me about it. I would say this in a nutshell: the book really exposes some of the biggest lies that we believe as women, and it reveals some of the powerful truths.
Okay.
And so what we've talked about, there's so many what I call illusions. The lies are the illusions. And they have shaped us into who we are and what we think about ourselves, and have robbed us of our happiness, our peace, and our security. But when you know the truth, right, and then you start taking actions to move in that area, you discover who you really were created to be, which is 3 simple words: perfect. And not perfect in the sense of perfection, but perfect in the sense of that you have everything you need. And there is, you're absolute, you're whole, right? That's the complete part. And that you are not missing one thing.
Nice. One
of the illusions, Chaute, that we believe is that we're missing something, right? I don't have enough education. I don't have enough schooling. I don't have enough love. I don't have enough money. I'm missing something. And that was my journey. I remember thinking I must be missing something.
Right.
And so when we expose the biggest lies and we discover the most powerful truths, we stand in the woman that we were created to be. And that's what the book is
really about. Really nice. Good stuff. Okay. So the book sounds like it's life-changing, because when individuals are able to recognize these lies and then able to build that security in their worth, it can help them to transform into the woman that they're meant to be. So I like that very much. So now when we're talking about our own journeys, and we both have shared that we have had journeys of our own, yourself through childhood and then teenage years and then self-discovery, and then now in a place where you're able to really change lives and help other women to recognize their worth. I guess what I really want to find out now is, where are you now in comparison to where you used to be, and how can someone that's wanting to get there start the process of getting there?
Okay. All right. Great question. I am a lot different than where I was. I often say we all are evolving and changing. So my evolution has been about me really knowing who I am, my identity, knowing my value, which is my worth, and then knowing security, standing in the confidence and the boldness of that. And that has not been an overnight journey. I know you probably can say the same. It has been a process. What I would say to someone who is going through it is to know that it is a process, but also know that there are lessons in the process. There are valuable life lessons if you are able to see them. Our stories don't have meaning, we give them meaning.
Yes.
And so me going back and looking, there was so much meaning and value in the experience. And so I know it's hard to see it while you're in the process, but I would want you to just stop and ask yourself, what life lesson is trying to come to me? What am I supposed to gain from this? Would be the second step.
I love
that. The third step would be to be patient with yourself. Listen, you're learning something new. You're discovering things that you didn't discover before. Be patient with yourself. Sometimes we have those beliefs that we're supposed to be able to do this. I should be able to handle this. I should be further along by now than this. All of that stuff. But be patient with yourself and be kind to yourself as you're going through the process of transformation. And I think those are the three things that pop into my head as you asked me that question that I would share.
Really good stuff. Okay, nice. I love it. So really then, I like to go about like where we reflect, we process, and we grow. So this is really a time where we sit still, we take the time to reflect and say, all right, I'm going through this. It doesn't feel very good right now, but what can I take from it and how can I grow from it? So when we take the time to do that, then we're able to take something from the lessons or the experiences in life. We're able to take a lesson from it and we're able to be better by it. Because if we get stuck, it's easy to get stuck and just sulk in the fact that we're going through something that doesn't feel very good, right? But if we are determined, if we are intentional about growing, then we can actually make the steps to take lessons from each of our experiences. So I think that's great advice that we can give the listeners right now. Anyone that wants to figure out their self-worth, anyone that wants to take some notes and say, all right, I don't like where I am right now, or I don't feel like I'm worth much at all. Take a step back, spend some time in the quiet, think about what's going on in life right now, and think about, okay, even though it doesn't feel very good, what can I learn from it? And when you take the time to learn something from it, and it could be the worst thing ever that's happening, but there's still something to learn from it, right? It's about having that attitude of gratitude, like there's something positive here. Let me just search a bit more, right? And then when we're able to do that, then we can say, all right, let's jot down some of these lessons. So as we move forward, we can continue to focus on what I'm learning and how I can be better by it. I like to journal. So when I journal, I always look back. Like I say, okay, well, it's been 3 years since I've been doing X, Y, Z. What has been my progress thus far? And when I do that, and I'm able to look back and be like, wow, I have grown so much from where I was to where I am now. And if I didn't take the time to look at that, we're hustle bustling so much. We're constantly go, 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 that we don't recognize where we've come from and how we've grown so much because we're so stuck in the present and trying to have these goals of where we want to be that we don't recognize where we came from and how we are so much better by it.
That's right. No, I agree. When you said that, I had the analogy of looking back at my baby's pictures, right? And it's so powerful when you look back because you go, oh man, look how much they've grown. Like, look how much they've changed. You don't really see it in the moment. To confirm what you're saying, you don't really see it in the day-to-day moments, but it's about looking back, something about looking back, see. And so even the persons who are listening, the ladies who are listening who might say, you know, I can't see it. Sometimes the journaling, which you referred to, allows you to have a moment to look back. And even if it's just that you grew up an inch, you grew. Even if it's that you didn't go as far as you thought, but you didn't go back.
Exactly.
That is it. And so when you said that, the baby pictures came back to my mind as I could see where they were, and now I can see where they are. So give yourself credit for that, ladies. That helps and moves you forward. It really does.
Yeah, so true. Thank you. Okay. So we're getting towards the end. So I wanted to find out, how can the listeners find you?
I would love to stay connected with each and every person. Thank you for this opportunity. I so appreciate it. You can stay connected with me on Facebook, Instagram, under the Whole Woman Experience. Whole Woman Experience is a part of that. You can follow me on both of those platforms. And then the website to get more information is www.awaken2power.com.
Nice. Very nice. And just to touch on it, I know we're running out of time, but you have a retreat coming up, right?
I do. My annual retreat. I absolutely love this. We bring women together from all walks of life that want to grow and change and heal. And we provide that environment for the inner healing work, to work through the things that I talked about, the inner critic, and we stop her in her tracks. We call her out as I speak, so that you know who she is and that is not who you are. And then we just have fun and fellowship. It is October 26th through 28th in Stone Mountain, Georgia. So I would love to have you be a part of it. And anybody who's listening, Come transform your life. Here's what I love to do. I love to teach women how to heal their own lives. And if I can teach you how to heal your own life, you can go out in the world and do it, and then help other women do it as well.
Nice. Okay, so to find out information about your retreat, they will go to your...
They can go for the retreat as the Whole Woman Experience.
Okay.
The Whole Woman Experience takes you to the information for the retreat.
Awesome sauce. Alrighty, great stuff. Well, thank you again for being with us here at Brand New Journey. It's been awesome talking about just being our best selves, knowing our worth, and transforming ourselves and taking the steps, knowing what steps to do to be able to start moving closer to knowing our worth, to rediscovering ourselves, to redefining ourselves, and just living in our authenticity. So really good stuff. I'm so happy that you're able to be here. Let's continue to positively impact lives and help everyone along their journey.
Thank you. Thank you for the opportunity.